Welcome to the Vermilion Podcast, a free audio library of business strategies, creative inspiration, and industry knowledge for actors, filmmakers, writers, and anyone looking to activate their creative potential. I'm Misha Calvert, a writer-director who helps artists build the careers that they dream of. I really hope that this podcast inspires you in some way. Thanks for tuning in.
Kuye Youngblood has maybe the coolest name of anyone I know. She's also one of the nicest executives I've ever met. BRIC TV really walks the talk. They talk about community, they talk about supporting each other and accessibility, and by God, do they back it up with all of their programming that is so accessible to the New York, specifically Brooklyn community. Their pitch opportunities. You know, I basically walked in off the street and was in a pitching marketplace, yes, but I was able to, without any connections, without any agent or manager, convince them to give me a series.
Wow. Yeah, and I think what you just said is what a lot of people probably need to hear, because people are frustrated, Misha, or do say, I have a shitty agent or no agent. Oh, no one's on my side in my corner. I can't do it. But the fact that you can, with conviction and with a game plan and with hard work, waltz right in there, make a connection, and then get the project done is useful information for, I think, myself and the listeners of this podcast.
Yeah. So Kuye gives us a lot of great tips on pitching. Why don't you tell us a little bit about being the general manager at BRIC TV? Now, are you the boss or the boss?
I'm the boss. Woo. Yes. 2 snaps. So BRIC is a multidisciplinary arts organization. And what I have been blessed to be in charge of is the BRIC TV department. So BRIC TV is a part of community media, which is its own whole department. And then there are 2 other departments. One is performing arts and one is contemporary art. And so that is the BRIC ecosystem. So I would say that I'm the boss over BRIC TV. So that's just one part of it.
Cool. So there's multiple departments and multiple facets of BRIC TV, but this is kind of the main programming production arm.
This is on the media side, we do a lot of curated programming. We work with a lot of filmmakers like yourself, Misha. Enjoyed working with you a few years ago, as well as, we generate a lot of programming through our staff and through partnerships, as well as through pitches that we get from filmmakers in the community.
We're going to talk a lot about pitching because I think our audience, which is a lot of actors, a lot of multi-hyphenates, they're going to want to know from the boss how they can get their pitches into the best shape and, of course, get a little bit closer to that green light, which everybody is hoping for.
Yes, the infamous green light. And for what a beautiful word.
Yeah. Yes, be on it right. I'm curious, what do you do? And then what's the day-to-day of what you do? Because when I think of a studio exec, I think you wake up in the morning, you have a personal trainer, you take a limo to work, your secretary walks in juggling 3 lattes, and you pick the best one. So what's your day-to-day actually like?
That sounds like something I would green light, right? That life. Being a general manager, I'm actually over a network, a digital and a broadcast network. So there are a lot of day-to-day things that need to be taken care of. I work very closely with operations, with engineering. We have a studio and a control room that we manage, and there's a lot that goes into running those platforms. So there's a tech piece to the job. Why I am not a tech person, I very much work with some really smart tech people. There's a big part of the job that it's about keeping the channels running. So that's a big part of being a general manager here. In addition, I'm doing a lot of really great creative programming with staff, with filmmakers outside of the company, with production companies and things like that. So that's a part of it. And then right now, there's a small percentage of it that is about going to the festivals and being on the red carpet and having those kinds of conversations, speaking with other industry gatekeepers at networks to see where we can possibly get distribution. So in this job, there's a lot of big picture planning and connecting, networking, looking ahead to the 1 to 3 year plan, a 3 to 5 year plan. And we're looking at being able to scale and being viable. And then there's also the day-to-day managing that needs to happen just to keep everything running smoothly. It's really kind of in 2 to 3 headspaces in one day. So the day-to-day, the actual long-term planning, and then kind of the creative piece around the curation of the actual programming.
Yes, the world of pitches, I just wonder for people who don't know a lot about it, like what do you like to see in terms of the structure, the length, and the content of pitches when they're presented to you?
Yeah, well, our sweet spot is comedic series. We started off in that when we started doing scripted. We're documentarians just historically. But in 2015, we started doing more narrative work. And so we got really lucky with the first few series that we put out, and they were all comedy and they were all series. So that's something that we want to continue to do. I will also say that we like taking risks with creators that have really strong vision that kind of work within our ethos and our mission. So we've done dramedies, we've done dramas, we've done experimental and art house stuff. And so we're very much open to letting the creators and the vision of the creators and their voice kind of lead in what we greenlight. But I will say we've had a lot of good things happen around comedic series, including getting into film festivals. That seems to be an easier thing for programmers at festivals to actually put into their lineups. We typically look at 6 episodes, average around 10 minutes. That also works well within our budgets typically. So there's a lot of good reasons to greenlight that kind of programming. But within that programming, we're looking at, diversity. We're looking at accessibility. We're looking at a multitude of criteria by which we decide, this is a good fit for BRIC TV.
You must have seen so many pitches over the years. So is there any just really kind of obvious guidelines that you can give that, like a 5 rules to live by that things to either do or not do when it comes to pitching to a TV exec?
I would say it's important to find your voice in your pitch. I think it can be hard. I've gotten some pitches that I knew were great ideas, but the actual presentation wasn't polished enough, or they didn't quite think through all of the ins and outs of their pitch. For instance, if someone asks the question, wow, this is a really interesting concept. What does a season 2 or 3 look like? And they're like, we really want someone who can think kind of all around their pitch. Also, help me understand the world that you're building. Who's your main character and why do we care? Or your main characters and why do we care about them? Do you know anything about your audience? These are all things that a television executive, once they get the pitch and they become really passionate about it and get behind it, they then have to upsell it internally to get it greenlit all the way through. So sometimes the television executive or the person you're speaking directly to, they can be a gatekeeper to get you in, but they're not necessarily the ones that can say, all right, we're doing this. BRIC is a smaller company and we have less levels, but even still here, once I receive the pitch, I need to workshop it internally and talk about those things like audience. Is it something that we can do successfully on the budgets we have? Tell us more about the experience of the filmmaker. Tell us more about their pitch. And are they thinking about derivative works and things like that? What does that look like? So I think really taking the time to hone your pitch and hone your voice, your angle into your pitch. What is the 2-minute version of your pitch versus the 6-minute version of your pitch? You never know how much time you're going to have with someone. What are the key points you want to get through in that 2-minute pitch? What are the additional things you want to upsell in that 6-minute version? So I know these are really broad answers, but the most important thing, I think the message here is you got to do your diligence around your pitch And a lot of times your pitch is your baby, right? You're very close to it. I think it's also important to become objective about it and to really think about who you're pitching to. Know something about the network or the executive you're pitching to. Know about what they're looking for. What is their voice? Or what, in our case, we're an arts organization. What is our mission? What are the other things that we have greenlit? What does our body of work look like? What aligns with it? What differs from it and can fill a need or another way to accomplish what we do in our mission? So kind of thinking not just about your work as a pitch, but thinking beyond that and who you're pitching to and how your work can fit within their ecosystem. Those are just a few things. It can be complicated, I mean, I think there is a lot to unpack, but I think one of the most important things is also, and I've said this before, but finding your voice, being authentic and passionate about it is really important.
It reminds me of auditioning, and I teach acting a lot. I was just teaching on Monday, a couple days ago, and the people that were not off book struggled. And when you are memorized, and if you're memorized in your pitch, like not word for word, but if you just know the material inside and out and answered and thought about the questions that you were just raising, what it allows people to do is the same way as if you were in an audition, you got to be so off book that you can just relax into connecting to the material, like finding your voice, like you're saying. And also something that I find gets overlooked a lot is energetically connecting to the person in the room, which isn't always possible. Sometimes they don't want to be connected to, and that's okay. But just being able to even have that conversation without trying to remember what comes next about your story.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I totally relate to what you're saying because I also have a theater background. And I remember being able to bring your full self to the work and being present with it. And I think there's something in pitching that comes with that as well. I will say, to your point around connecting with the person or the people in the room is key too, because I've gotten some really good pitches from actors, from people who really knew how to present. It was like they were in the room by themselves. And so it was hard to kind of come in there with them to really live in the pitch with them. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think there's something about really giving a really polished pitch, which is great. But I think it is important to read the room as well and know kind of who you're talking to and where they are. And
BRIC is the kind of network, too, I would say, that's likes family and it likes community. And so you want to be able to dial that in versus pitching at maybe, a Showtime or a Netflix where it's just a different vibe.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a pitch that's going well, and there's one question or one thing that derails them or something that the person who's pitching hasn't thought about and it just throws them off and it's hard for them to get back on track? And what do you do live in front of them in that moment? If it does happen, maybe it doesn't. But I imagine, especially pitching for the first or second time, nerves can kind of be there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I will even say when I've pitched, it's suddenly something that I need to really get ready for and practice as well. But yeah, certainly that happens. I mean, I tend to bring my full self. I'm very present in those kinds of settings with the pitches. And, we're nurturers of filmmakers at different stages in their career. And we work with a lot of filmmakers earlier in their career. They're still learning all of these things. So there's a lot of room for error, a lot of room for growth. We actually do a lot of programming around our pitches as a part of our adult education on the media side. And when we do our open pitches, there's a lot more grace and space, I think, around hearing those pitches and giving feedback. And then it's different when, say, someone is really pitching to get something greenlit at BRIC. It's not like pitching to a major network. We do take the time to really listen and work with filmmakers to develop pitches and programming. But at the same time, we have hard questions that we need to ask and get answers around. For instance, can you do this idea within the budget that we have? And are you willing to make adjustments around the development of it to make it work for this? Can you scale it down? Or if it's something that we feel we can scale up, what does that look like? It's a really interesting space for BRIC to be in, where we need to deliver programming. We have to make some hard decisions sometimes. But at the same time, we have a lot of openness around the ways that we worked with filmmakers, kind of meeting them where they are in their process and in their careers.
Have you ever had someone not know that they needed to think ahead to season 2 and 3, if we're talking about a TV program, and they say, oh, like, are they shocked you're even asking that?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's pretty common that
Yeah.
for first-time creators especially.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's just, they don't have the experience of someone asking that question. That's
Right.
all. The thing is, when you do ask that question and they get past the nerves and the nervousness, or they do have some time to think about it and they come back to you, they come back stronger.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why it's so important to have a space like BRIC that allows people to learn and grow and improve. And it does mean they put in the time and the work, but it's not like one and done and we shut the doors. You know, there's room to come back and kind of develop things with us to a degree. I think that's really important when we talk about equity and accessibility for filmmakers that aren't able to go to, you know, the top tier film schools or come from people who are in their network, who have the background, you know, coming from Hollywood or from television studios or, you know, film networks and things like that. But certainly that has definitely happened. But the conversation doesn't end after they can't answer the question.
Some of our audience may not actually be familiar with the offerings that BRIC has. So what are some easy access points that people can look up online and maybe submit for? Like, give us some of the offerings that you have here.
Yeah, so we do a lot around media education, adult education. So we have, you know, classes that people can take. On the BRIC TV side, we have open pitches. You know, people can pitch us at bricartsmedia.org. And we have something new that's in its second year called BRIC Lab Film and TV, where we open up pitches for a lab here at BRIC. And, you know, we offer development, expertise, we offer space, we have access to edit equipment and edit bays. We have a small production budget. There are different things we can do there as well. And then, you know, something that a lot of people don't necessarily know about is we have a broadcast network and a digital network, but our broadcast network is, you know, their terrestrial channels, and people can actually look for possible distribution on our platform as well, you know, to be a part of, you know, something where people can turn on the TV and see your work. And then when you're going after grants or you're going after lab programs or you're needing to submit for an award or something like that, and they have a requirement of airtime, that can be a part of your strategy as well.
Yeah, I've just been applying for TV Academy membership, and All Hail Beth is very helpful for that. By the way, Brett is very close with Layla.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. She's one of my very best friends.
I just love her. It's so good to grow with people and to get to know them early in their lives and in their careers sometimes, because, you know, I feel like she's on her way and she's so easy to work with and accessible and brings her full self to the work. So do you mind if I turn the question around?
Yeah, go for it.
So Brett, tell me about your connection with Layla. How lucky for you.
I know. So Layla and I met around 2012 at the Flea. Now, this is when the Flea was not in such hot waters as they have been in recent years, darling. But we were at a Flea and just instantly took a liking to each other. We did their late night comedy series together. We were in a bunch of plays there together. And these became our people, like our best friends, our co-creators. And it just stuck all these years. You know, now I'm in my years old, and you know, we're still making work together. I work with Layla, and it seems like Layla comes up in every.
She does, literally.
So funny. Layla always comes up, but yeah, I mean, she's fabulous. I went to Texas on New Year's 2020, and she showed us All Hail Beth. So that's when I first saw your name, Misha. Now I have a face to the name. But
I have a shrine in your bathroom.
I have one in mind of Misha.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. She was great as Beth in All Hail Beth. She was the perfect protagonist.
Did you see Amy Schumer copying us with her new show, Life and Beth?
What? Oh, that's
Good ideas are good ideas when they're in the air.
I think she must have seen the show and she's like, God, that's a good idea. But yeah, it's kind of a midlife crisis New York woman story as well. So it's her big comeback. I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't look that funny.
the character's name is Beth too?
Get out.
Wow. Life and Beth. I feel like there was with Aubrey Plaza, there was something Life After Beth as well.
Every
With
year
all-
was that.
Every year there's another.
I just want to say what you brought to the table is a fantastic idea. Of course, folks are going to be interested in it. Do you find it flattering? Or do you find it like,
You know, I was just watching It's a Wonderful Life last night for reasons I won't go into. And I was like, oh man, this is kind of all hail Beth. Like, I think these ideas are just out there. And the magical what if suddenly one day your life changed forever and you got everything you ever wanted, or which is the plot of All Hail Beth, available on BRIC TV for free to watch. So if you haven't seen it, please do. But those what ifs of what if suddenly, you wake up and every day is the same. So I don't know.
Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
It's been told so many different
Palm Springs. Yeah, right. I think, as Shakespeare said, good artists borrow, great artists steal, within reason. So it's all about the execution, I think. How are you and your voice and your stamp creating this story in a way that hasn't been done before?
Yep. And I think that's why that authenticity and owning your voice is so important, because the stories are out there, but what are you bringing to it?
And especially today, like we finally arrived. We've made it where everyone, every weirdo, every person, we shine. Like be yourself, really. Do not shy away from it, but lean into it because now that's hot. That's in. Like cookie cutter is kind of out. And what's in is very special and unique and you. So you might as well show them the warts and all because that could be your ticket in. You know what I mean? Like no more am I afraid of like, oh, too gay, not gay enough, gay. Like, just, I'm going to be me. But you know what I mean? It's like people who are different. It is our time. Go make your project. And I'm talking to myself too. I'm like, Brett, you better write down and write your damn pilot. Like, it's all been done before. So just put yourself into a situation. Like I call it ordinary people in extraordinary situations. That's what I love to write about. Like, what if Brett Epstein, was in a such and such situation, and how would I respond? I'm sure it's going to be darkly funny. And write it.
I mean, I'm a creative as well. And I will say that I've got stories here in my heart and in my mind that I'm like, oh, I need to pour that onto the page. Like I'll be walking down the street and I'll get the first line, or it's, that creativity is in there. And what's interesting is in the work that I do now as a television executive at BRIC has really helped me hone that voice. All the advice that I give out to others, and I'm talking to people every day. Like I find it's really important just to give time around being accessible for information. And at the same time, I'm learning and I'm like, applies in my old playbook, those kinds of things. And now, even with all the craziness going on in the world, it's such a great time to be a creator. It's such a great time. I think there's so much more accessibility. There's so many more platforms, even with film festivals, because that's an important strategy as well. There's so many more niche film festivals with more categories. Like there's so many shorts categories and animation, late night. There's some really interesting ways to kind of get your work out there. So it doesn't just sit with you. You know what I mean? You can create it, get it out there. And I think it's important to create. When you come to a pitch, come with several pitches. When I met Misha at Tribeca Creators Market, what was that, 2016, 18? It was really great to meet with her. She had not just one pitch, but many pitches. And,
But Misha is crazy, though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's why I have a shrine. And, she brought a lot of really great best practices to BRIC. So that openness around that collaboration is really key as well.
Real quick, final question, final answer. I know you got to bounce. Is that what gets you out of bed in the morning? Is a creative spark? Or you tell me, just on a very human level, what makes you get out of bed and face the world every day?
I am grateful to be on this earth, and everyone has their own story. I've got stories. I've been through stuff, and that has made me even more grateful as I get older to get up every morning, to have good health, to have good circumstances. Nothing is ever perfect. Things happen. Bad things happen. But that resiliency that comes through challenges in life, or trauma, I think is really important to hold on to. And so that gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm still here, bitch. Exactly. But also there's so much joy. There's joy if you're looking forward and you are in tune with that authentic presence in you, and making sure that you know your voice and that you are voicing it, even if you feel like no one's really giving you the space or listening. It's important to stand in that. And so that's something I'm very, very grateful for. That's what gets me out in the morning. Thank you so much, Misha. I wish we had another hour to talk. I know. I feel like we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah. I think our listeners are going to be really activated, motivated, inspired by what you had to say. And I know they're going to run out and try and see how they can submit to be in your pitch programs and, try and get one of their shows over the line. I think it's just been a really expansive talk for everyone.
For sure. And I will say, Misha, just working with you, especially as we started our scripted series programming, has been so great, professionally and personally. That time we were with All Hell Beth in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest, and how much fun that was and how much work it was it was great. And I truly enjoyed working with you, and you're part of this podcast. So thank you. And thank you, Brett. I'm also glad to meet you and have you be a part of our overall network.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And it was lovely to chat with you. Talking to people like you, I think it does, as Misha said, it kind of lights a fire to people listening, and myself and people listening. Just what else can I do? What else can I do for my career, for my life, for my creativity, for my energy? Look at the things we can do and the other people, because sometimes I'm so much a solo act, and I want to write it, direct it, produce it, and there's going to be two of us on set. You know what I mean? But meanwhile, there's a whole world out there of people to work with, and seeing you and Misha connect right now in front of my eyes. And I say, Brett, there's more people out there to meet and work with that could really be fulfilling personally and creatively. So that's what I learned from this.
Yes. And that's so important. I'll make one last point. I think it's really important that you build your people, you build your tribe, and you're working with them on their dreams and their projects. And they are turning around and putting that same loyalty and pouring it into your work. What we do is very much a collaborative effort. It's hard to do solo. It can be done solo.
You can go fast, but not far.
Exactly. And it's so important to have that. And, even folks who are moving on different tracks. For instance, I always say we need more television executives of color that are gatekeepers, because of their POV and their experience can be open to those kinds of pitches and placements and honing and development and nurturing. So I think it takes a village
to make a show. Yes. Exactly. That might be our soundbite, Kai. That was good.
Love it.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a joy.
The Vermilion podcast is sponsored by Vermilion, a home for artists. We offer classes, coaching, and community for creatives and innovators in the arts. If you're ready to find your voice and build the life of your dreams, we're here to support you every step of the way. Check out clubvermilion.com and schedule a free call today.